Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fired Up. This is Joseph Pasek of barnburner.ca with my good friend Giancarlo Aulino. This is a special Fired Up as we got the commissioner of the CPL, that's the Canadian Professional Soccer League, out there just starting up in the next couple of weeks. David Clanachan. David, how you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. It's a pleasure to be on with you. Obviously, we're close to the launch of our inaugural season, and so everybody's pretty excited and pumped up about what's going to happen with football this summer in Canada.
Okay, so take us through why did you decide, it's been long overdue, to decide for a Canadian Professional Soccer League?
Well, the big thing, guys, is, when you start to look at what's happening in the country, and I like to tell everybody from a business perspective, anytime you look at a chart and things are going upwards to the right, that's where you want to be. So when you look at the factors, fastest growing participation sport in the country, you've got, all the stats that are out there about how many people play. They're not really good stats because the most interesting survey that was done last spring and says that 14% of Canadians play football on a weekly basis. That's the real stat. I mean, registered players with Canada Soccer is only about 1 million. We figure it's about between 4 and 5 million. That's an unbelievable stat considering a country the size of 35 million people. The other thing is as many women play as men and boys as girls. So it's split 50-50 right down the middle. It's the fastest. It's the number one sport with all the immigration that comes to our country. And by the way, that's how we're not having kids anymore. As many kids, so immigration has grown our population. And then just look at just the appetite for the game and what's happening. The world is so much smaller now. The availability of foreign games in our country is just unbelievable. So, it's about time that we need to step up. And I think there's a giant appetite for our national teams to do even better than they have done. Certainly the men's team, and of course protecting our position in the top 5 with the women's team across the globe. You need to be able to work at it and develop players from Canada. So now is the time to do it. And we were missing that piece of the bridge that took us from developing younger talent, young Canadian talent to get to the level of professional football, right? So that's the key for us. And so when you look at all that, it all adds up and says go, right?
Yeah. One more question on my end before Giancarlo asks his question. So you picked your team strategically and all that. How many, let's say if we talk 3, 4, 5 years down the road, how many teams do you see in the CPL, and what is the building blocks for the first year to the 5th year, I guess?
Sure. So this year, we'll kick off with 7 football clubs. Each playing league games of 28 matches, 14 home and away, plus obviously the interesting kind of a championship that we released last week format. So not playoffs, but first and second season, if you want to call it, similar to what is done in a number of nations in kind of Central and South America. So that's an interesting format. And then, so we're 7 clubs there. We're actually talking to 18 different cities and regions right now, across the country. If you ask me, David, what do you think is the right size for a Premier League in our country? I think you're looking at probably between, I'm going to say 14 to as many as 18 teams. That's what would max out in the Premier League. But I think we've been very clear that we would like to see promotion and relegation as we go forward. Not something you do right away. You got to build out the Premier League, but that's certainly where we want to be, guys.
All right, Giancarlo.
Yeah. So, David, your exposure of the league so far has been it's been executed pretty good. On social media, you guys built a great platform on Instagram, Twitter, and a lot of people are questioning now what's next for the TV side. You mentioned all these leagues that have all this exposure around the world. What is the plan right now with a TV deal or just like a broadcasting deal where Canadians can access all the games and get to see some of the up-and-coming talent?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, I think we've been, I think part of the reason why we've been so successful with the exposure we've had is the appetite for the game in the country. There's no doubt that I think everything we've done has been calculated. I've been very, open and honest with people that we're storytellers. And frankly, the reason why football clubs become so popular across the globe and create such a great following from their supporters is because we at heart as footballers are storytellers. I mean, people remember the stories that don't remember facts, right? And so we're very clear about that. Obviously, going to the next stage now, we need to get to the point where we have just signed what I would consider the biggest deal in the history of football in Canada, which is with MediaPro, is a company that's a global company that produces football across the world. The big ones that people will recognize is they do everything for La Liga. They do everything for France and League One and League Two. They do some of the stuff for EPL and Serie A, and they also do the Liga MX in Mexico. So adding Canada into it and doing all of producing and showing all of our games is a big deal. So Canadians and they've talked very clearly about this idea of a Canadian what I'm going to call an omni-channel. Everything that's soccer, whether it be national teams or CPL or even League One Ontario, which we own, both the men's and women's teams, about seeing those games on a channel, which then could be used with broadcasters, so over-the-air broadcasters, or through streaming and things digital or that type of thing. They're experts at this, and I think Canadians are going to see a great side of the game. The other thing is they're very clear, and this is where they're unique. They've done it for La Liga. They've also signed a deal with the French Premier League to do the same, but Canada will be the second channel that's launched. And what they talk about is it's a 360-degree program. So when they say all for football, what they're talking about is they'll do the games. That's half the story, the live matches. But what they also do is they tell all the human interest stories. So MediaPro, are storytellers just like us. And so to me, that's what we all want to see more. We want to get behind the scenes and not just what's happening on the pitch, but we want to see what's going on in the players' lives and the coaches' lives, the struggles they go through, how they win and celebrate together, all of that's there. So we're very pleased, and we're very very proud of the fact that we were able to sign such a great 10-year deal, again, for the national teams, for the CPL, and for the Ontario League One.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that too, because you brought up how storytelling and telling the stories of the players that are in the league. I like how the Canadian Premier League has that minimum of 6 Canadian starters per game, and all these rules about under 21 rule about 3 players have to play a combined 1,000 minutes. What came into that decision of picking a certain cap on those type of players and having the amount of Canadian starters in the league for each team?
Yeah, it was an easy discussion. We when I spoke with the owners of the clubs and said, listen, we called out a league for Canadians by Canadians. We realized that one of the top issues of why we were building this league was all about developing Canadian players. Then it becomes very simple that you have to put your money where your mouth is. You can't you can't walk away from that, right? So when we started talking about we got to have a majority of Canadians starting the game on the pitch, and so as every match starts, you're going to see lots of Canadians on the pitch. But more importantly, the roster size has to be greater than 50% Canadian. And then everything we need to do for the young people, because it was all about player development, right? Whether it be the 1,000 minutes for the 3 under 21s, and actually we're looking at formats to be able to do player development. Very similar to what we've done with youth sports in the country, which was groundbreaking and has now actually been also extended to the game of basketball in the country. But similar to youth sports, being able to bring in under 18s so that we can let them train and spend time with the big club, and call it the apprenticeship of the professional game, right?
All right. So let me ask you a question, David. York FC plays their first match in York, April 27th. So when fans go to the game, what can they? Obviously, it's football, but what can they expect from the match? Like, all-around match are you working on to attract younger crowds, to attract the people to come to see the games, or what can they expect?
So first of all, I don't mean to correct you, but it's in Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field against Forge FC.
I wonder
so
where
Yorktine's first game will be there. Okay.
Yeah.
So no, so that's just the luck of the draw. But so yeah, absolutely. Listen, this is about we are very clear that we want to spend time with a number of different demographics, and we're working hard at that. So it's important for us to make sure that we have all the right things in place. One of the great things that our group has developed through our digital media company that we purchased as we started the league is we have our own complete league app. And so the league itself, each and every team has what we call Center Circle app. That app will have everything that is, so again, lots of stories about what's happening with the game. They'll be able to see replays. They'll be able to see items on it. When they go to the stadium, the tickets can be on that app. They can purchase things on the app, whether it be food and beverage or merchandise. There's just a ton of things that we're doing, and everything's going to kind of revolve around that app. Every team will have that available for their supporters, and I think that's going to engage people like we've never seen in this country. Because as I talk to people around the globe, they've never, they actually say we've never seen this done in a league that's just standing up, for the first time.
All right, Giancarlo.
Yeah, I just want to ask you again about the players because, I like this format that you guys are doing, and with this app too, it'll bring more awareness to the league. What kind of league do you really want to sell to players around the world? Do you want it to be like an MLS where there's 3 designated players, and outside of that, they all come in domestically, or do you want to have no limit on that, where teams can maybe go after players in Italy, Portugal, England, but as long as they have the 6 Canadian in the starting 11?
So right now the league actually has a rule that says each team can only have 7 foreign players, and that's not a problem whatsoever. But what we're looking to do is develop this league with the majority of Canadian players, and the reason is that's where the game is going to develop in this country, and we need that. So at this point in time, that's what we set it up for. So 7 foreign players. The key thing for us is create excitement on the pitch, make it very competitive, be able to really showcase Canadian talent. That's one of the biggest questions I get. Will there be boys or men playing from my town and city? Because I want to create local heroes, right? That's what fans are telling us. That's what the supporters are saying. And so that's one of the key things that we're going to do. We're going to enhance that with some players from overseas because there's no doubt that's good as well. But we'll be a developmental league. There's no doubt. My greatest glory will be to see a number of Canadian players ended up being transferred in some of the big leagues over in Europe. That's success to me because they're going to come back. We're seeing that already, that some players that have been over there, they maybe are getting a little bit, they're into their mid-20s, and it's like, I want to go home. I get a chance to go and play the game I love, get paid for it, and I get to be at home. What better place to be? I would also tell you that we're getting foreign players, they want to be in Canada because they love Canada, and they've heard so much about it. So we got a big draw because not only because of our country, but because of the people there. There's no doubt people, they love the country, and it's a great place to be. But now being able to play in the professional game, that's big too. So, yeah, they're very excited about it, and obviously we are too.
Okay, final question with the commissioner of the CPL. Actually, my final, I don't know about Giancarlo. All right, take me through last comments, what you want to tell and sell the CPL to the fans here.
Well, I think that listen. Here's the rub on the whole thing. The reality is we need this game in our country. We need a professional level to take this to the next level. One thing about Canadians, we love sport. When we get behind a particular game, or particular sport in this country, we are all in. And I think that's what Canadians is. They're going to fall in love with this game. It's on fire in the country amongst people at all ages. I mean, as you guys probably know, I worked for Tim Hortons for 35 years. I mean, we had 300,000 players between the ages of 5 and 6 playing Timbit soccer. Like that's way, way bigger than any other sport in the country, right? And so that's this movement, this wave is happening. It would be great, and we want people to embrace it because, as you know, this game is an all-in type game. Even as a spectator supporter, you're all in. It's you live and breathe it. It's very different than other games that are out there, and it is a very social type game. It brings communities together. It entertains. It provides opportunities. I mean, at the end of the day, we'll develop this soccer economy in the country, but what we're going to end up with is we're going to end up with we're going to be part of a global world in this sport. And we will do well at it because that's what Canadians do. They get behind it, and it'll work real well.
All right, Giancarlo?
Yeah, I'm just to close on like more of a personal note. You're the first commissioner now of this National Canadian Soccer League. What does it mean to you to be the inaugural commissioner?
Well, I tell you what, it scares me because at the end of the day, there's a lot to do. Last fall I was asked by our great partners at Macron that are doing all the jerseys, which, by the way, we're going to drop all those the first week in April. I've seen the finished product. They are unbelievable, the home and aways for all 7 teams. Phenomenal. And we've even got a little twist to that, but I'm not going to spoil our marketing guys. I'm going to spoil their thunder. But the point is, I was over in Belgrade and at a conference with the Macron folks. They asked me to come over and speak. They had 4 speakers. They asked me to speak about the Canadian Premier League. Couldn't believe it. They did 11 federations and 33 European professional clubs there. 103 people total in the audience representing all these people. And one of the biggest topics that I was told they wanted to hear about was they wanted to hear about what was going on in the Canadian Premier League because they'd heard snippets about it, but most importantly, they had never, none of them had ever seen a league stand up all at one time. Teams, yes. League, no. So this is a big deal, right? It's something that's it's like a shooting star really in our lifetimes. But the reality is this is important. And so what excites me the most about it is that we're part of it. We're all part of it. We'll get to do this. And the best part about it all is that everybody across the globe is rooting for us. I mean, I was on the phone 2 weeks ago with Mr. Javier Cabas, who runs La Liga, and his only thing was, David, what can we do for you? What can we do for you? Christian Seaford, the Bundesliga, he's reached out to us. What can we do for you? Like this is over and over and over again. Phone calls from people that are, they don't need to do this. They're already successful. But it's a bit of a fraternity, as you know, right? Like everybody roots for each other. Till we get on the pitch, then it's like no holds barred. But I think we'll hold our own that way, and that's the other thing. I think it's important that we in Canada we create our own identity for the game, right? Like that people will understand when they see one of our teams playing, they'll understand. Okay, that's a Canadian team, right? It's a fair, hard but fair. No rolling around on the pitch. All the things that people don't like, that's not us, right? So I think people will be very, very proud of what we deliver, and I think one day I'll be able to say, you know what, I was there when it all started. But there's some phenomenal people working in the sport right now, and I think that's going to be a proud day as we move forward.
All right, and where can people purchase tickets or hear more of the CPL?
So the schedule is online now for each of the clubs. So anyone can go to any of the clubs that wherever they are. You can go onto the CPL website and see the Canadian Premier website. And so tickets are available. Fantastic pricing. Our clubs have been very good about it. Great opportunities as well as different levels of I'm going to call it season member passes. They're in great shape. So myself, I live in Ontario, so I've got to support the 2 teams in Ontario at this point in time, but I'm sure I'll be at matches right across the country.
All right, Giancarlo, closing comments?
Yeah, just looking forward to this league. You guys look like you're going to kill it your first season, so looking forward to that.
And by the way, sub note, Giancarlo is a referee. So if you need refereeing and giving yellow cards and red cards, Giancarlo could take action. And all he asks is for a Timbit. That's all. All he asks is for a tidbit, but David, the commissioner of the CPL. Pleasure, and fans, check out the CPL website to purchase tickets, support the Canadian Professional League. Thanks a lot, David.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great day.